Bakata, the junior out of Canada, who is a strong defensive player doing a little of everything this season for FDU. Madeline Comley, who overall is the best shooter in the NEC this season. Junior from Littlestown, Pennsylvania, averaging close to 12 points per game and shooting over 50% from the field. And Lucia Serrano-Ranz gets her 6th consecutive start, a junior college transfer originally from Barcelona, Spain. For St. Francis Brooklyn, 7-11 on the year and 3-4 in the NEC under 6th-year head coach John Thurston. A familiar starting lineup for Coach Thurston. In the front court, Maria Pallarino, the junior from Irwin, Pennsylvania, who is on a roll as of late. She's averaged 14 points and shot 60% in her last 3 games, each of them scoring in double figures, and she's looking for number 4 in a row tonight. Pallarino will start in the front court alongside Lorraine Hickman, the junior from Floral Park, New York, on Long Island. And then on Australia Day, very fitting that the Terriers have 3 Australians in their starting lineup. In the backcourt, Alex Delaney, who is on a roll herself, averaging 19 points per game in her last 4. She's the senior from Sydney, Australia. Amy O'Neill is the junior college transfer, the junior from Melbourne, Australia, leading the Terriers in assists. And Jade Johnson is leading the Terriers in scoring. The talented outside shooter, the sophomore from Adelaide, has scored 20 or more points in 3 of her last 4 games. And overall, she has been in double figures in 12 of the last 13 for St. Francis, averaging 14.5 points per game and shooting 43% from downtown this year. This is the 69th overall meeting between FDU and St. Francis Brooklyn in women's basketball. 47-21 of the Knights all-time against St. Francis, but they've lost 8 of the last 11 to the Terriers since February of 2012. And if the recent series history holds tonight, this game is going to be a close one. 8 of those last 11, 8 of those have going the way of the Terriers, of course. 8 of the 11 overall have been decided by single digits, including all 3 of Fairleigh Dickinson's wins in that span by just 4, 3, and 1 single point. Fairleigh Dickinson is in the traveling maroon with navy blue and white, and St. Francis in the home white with the royal blue and red. Officials today are Gary Schimmel, Kevin Sparrock, and Kelly Callahan. Hickman and Markovic jump it up in the center circle, and Markovic wins the tip for FDU. The Knights will move left to right here in the first half. Man-to-man defense for the Terriers to open things up. Comley hooks it to the baseline. Markovic, or rather that's Francion's jumper. That's no good, but the offensive rebound to Peniel Bakata, and FDU gets a fresh possession. Pass to the near side, knocked away by Johnson out of bounds, right in front of the Terrier bench, and so FDU will keep it. Whoever hits the 70-point mark in this ball game will have a really good shot at winning it. The Terriers are 5-1 when they score 70 or more in a game, and FDU a perfect 6-0. We mentioned how strong they've been defensively in the pregame. Bakata up top to Serrano-Ranz. Now bounce pass to the baseline to Markovic, trying to pass across to the far side wing. It's knocked out of bounds, and then Markovic touched it last. And so first defensive possession results in a stop for St. Francis as well as a turnover. 30 seconds in, no score in this ball game. A rare Friday night NEC women's basketball contest. Delaney at the top of the key gives up on her right to Pallarino. Swings it to the left wing for O'Neill in front of the FDU bench. Up top for Hickman, looking high-low. Shoots it to the right wing for Pallarino. Dribbles to the foul line with her left hand. Kicks out to O'Neill. O'Neill now driving with her right hand to the basket. Scoop shot layup, no good, a little strong, and the rebound corralled in the paint by the Knights. Left to right comes FDU into the front court. Bakata driving against Delaney, gallops through a double team and lays it in off the glass. Peniel Bakata, the junior out of Abbotsford, British Columbia, Western Canada, puts FDU up 2-0. St. Francis attacking the hoop to our left here in the first half. Back on their home floor after a 2-game trip to New England, splitting the trip with a win over Central Connecticut State and a loss to Bryant. Alex Delaney on the right wing behind the arc. Up top it goes to Pallarino. 10 to shoot. They try to lob inside the paint for Johnson. Ball knocked out of bounds as Johnson was double teamed. It will remain St. Francis ball. 8:24 remaining first quarter. FDU with an early 2-0 lead. And 9 to shoot for St. Francis. O'Neill inbounds to Pallarino. Cross-court feed to Johnson. Johnson to O'Neill in the right corner. Now just 3 to shoot. O'Neill's got to go at the foul line. Drives to the basket. Scoops it up. It missed off the glass. It just barely caught the rim. And the rebound by the Knights. That's why a shot clock violation was not called there. Bakata now driving in early offense on the right baseline. Up top to Francion. Back to Bakata in the right corner, and she traveled before she could put up a shot. So another turnover for the Knights there. As we mentioned, this FDU squad, a very good defensive team, second in the conference in scoring defense, as well as field goal percentage and three-point percentage defense. The Terriers have been one of the best offensive teams in the NEC in conference play so far this year, especially here on their home floor. Markovic guards Pallarino in the right corner, a whistle and a foul away from the ball. It'll be on Francion and FDU as Hickman was trying to post up. First foul on either team as St. Francis will inbound at the baseline near the basket. O'Neal lobs it up high for her countrywoman Delaney on Australia Day down under. Terriers with 3 Australians on the roster. All of them start as Delaney fires a deep right side 3 off the back iron. Rebounded on the weak side by Bakata, who will bring it into the front court for FDU. Knights with the basketball and a 2-0 early lead. Turnaround jump shot, right block for Francion, misses strong. Offensive board inside Markovic. She puts it back in off the glass, and a foul is called. Score the basket from Markovic, the senior from right here in Brooklyn. She'll head to the line for a chance at a 3-point play as Pallarino picks up the personal foul. Markovic, a preseason All-NEC team selection after making third-team All-League last year. She's a 65% free throw shooter. She bangs in the free throw. And it's now 5-0 FDU here. St. Francis yet to score 2.5 minutes into the ball game. O'Neal guarded by Serrano Rands, who's right around a slip screen from Pallarino. Bounces between the circles to Delaney, swings left to Pallarino. Markovic is all over her. Pallarino up top for Johnson, left open, shoots a long 3 and cans it. Jade Johnson on the board, and so are the Terriers, who now trail 5-3 with 7 minutes remaining in the opening quarter here on this Friday night in New York City. Bakata guarded by Pallarino. Terriers now in a switching defense between the circles. Francion holds, looks for Markovic high-low. Instead, dishes off to the right wing for Serrano Rands. Around a screen, back it goes to Francion. Up top for Markovic. Quick ball movement by the Knights here. Bakata bounces to Markovic, trying to lay it up and in, but she was hit and fouled as the ball never got above her waist. And that foul will go on Amy O'Neal. So Markovic back at the free throw line. Last year, she averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds per game, a breakout season for her. This year has upped the average in scoring to nearly 13 points per game, matching the number on the back of her jersey. Her first free throw is good. She's also shooting 52% this year from the field, which is second on the team and 4th in the Northeast Conference. Second free throw is, of course, perfect. And Markovic with 5 early points. The Knights lead 7-3 over St. Francis. Now with the basketball, attacking the hoop to our left. 6:31 remaining in the first quarter. O'Neal to the left wing with her left-hand dribble. Hands off to Johnson. Johnson circles back to the top of the key. Switched onto by Comley. And now right side wing Pallarino. Working on Markovic. Up top it goes to Delaney. Head fake on a 3. Steps inside the arc. 17-footer off the mark to the right. And the rebound by Markovic. In transition come the Knights. Bakata up the floor. Terriers got back defensively. Bakata forced to turn back at the baseline. FDU running their offense as Comley drives against O'Neal, gets to the basket, but missed the layup off the bottom of the backboard. Rebounded by Johnson for St. Francis. She brings it into the front court. Right to left come the Terriers. Baseline jumper for Lorraine Hickman. That's a little bit strong. Offensive board inside Pallarino, and she lays it back in. Pallarino, who's been on a scoring roll as of late, double figures in each of her last 3. She's on the board now for St. Francis, trailing by 2 once again, 7-5. 5:40 remaining in the first quarter. Comley, left of the circle, up top for Markovic, finds Francion high-low. She missed the layup short, and the rebound by O'Neal for St. Francis. Into the front court come the Terriers. Behind the back dribble by O'Neal, through the lane to the wing. Backs it out, Johnson straight on deep 3 is an air ball, but offensive board to Pallarino again. Right place, right time. And she puts it back in and ties the game at 7. Coming up on the midway point of this first quarter, crossover dribble by Serrano Rands, dishes to the right wing for Comley in front of the FDU bench. Back to Markovic, baseline drive around Pallarino. Hopping to the basket is Amina Markovic, and she's got 7 early points for FDU, the leading scorer and preseason all-conference pick, carrying the heavy load in the first. 9-7 FDU. St. Francis can tie with the 2 or take the lead with the 3. Up top it is Hickman. Between the circles, Johnson swings left to Delaney, tries to find Hickman cutting on the baseline. It went right through her hands. and into the hands of Francion, and a turnover for St. Francis there. That is their first of the ball game. Serrano Rands guarded by Johnson. Between the circles, she finds Makata. Bounce pass inside, deep right block position for Francion. Turns and skips it out to Comley on the left wing. Steps inside the arc. The long two is a little bit strong. Rebound weak side by Johnson for St. Francis. Johnson up the near side of the floor into the front court. Bounces to the left block for Hickman. Turns, faces, bounces to a cutting O'Neal. Got to the basket. She's blocked on the layup, but a foul is called as she was hit on the arm. That time by Serrano Rands, who picks up her first. It's also the team's second, and we get our first media timeout. Fairleigh Dickinson 9 and St. Francis Brooklyn 7 on a Friday night in New York City. Back with more on NEC Front Row after this. First quarter, Jason Garrett back with you here on NEC Front Row. Amy O'Neal at the free throw line out of the timeout caused by the foul on Lucia Serrano Rands. O'Neal, the junior college transfer point guard, who's second in the conference in assists and assist-to-turnover ratio at the free throw line. 67% free throw shooter on the year. And her first free throw rolls in. O'Neal averaging over 4.5 assists per game as well as over 2 steals per game, giving the Terriers very consistent play at the point as she misses on the second free throw. Rebound is by Elise Graham, who's checked in for FDU off of the Knights bench. The Knights bringing in a couple of substitutes. We'll get to the 5 on the floor in a second as Dana Dorenzo, who's checked in for St. Francis, commits a hand check foul on the perimeter. Mia Ealing also checks in for St. Francis Brooklyn, along with Johnson, Delaney, Allie Lassen, who's in for the first time, and as well as Dorenzo. Those are the 5 for St. Francis. Right wing behind the arc, Cameron Weimer, freshman sharpshooter, gets a return pass, fires a deep right side 3 off the back rim. Weak side rebound, fought for by Johnson, but it ends up in the hands of Elise Graham, who finds Natalie Zamora, who misses on a 3 from the left wing, and the rebound by Delaney that time for St. Francis. So St. Francis Brooklyn with the basketball. Delaney driving into traffic is bumped and fouled by Zamora. That's her first and the team's third. For FDU defensively, they've got Zamora on the floor along with Bushra Saral, Graham, Courtney Blankenship, and also Weimer as Ealing fires from the left wing. That's no good. Offensive board to Lassen, missed on the layup, but Dorenzo is there to corral it again for the Terriers, who can set up at the basket now to our left once again. Terriers trailing by 1, 9-8, as Johnson dribbles on the baseline and lost it out of bounds off of her knee. 3:23 remaining in the opening quarter. A bit of an even start for both teams. 3 of 11 from the field of the Terriers. 3 of 10 are the FDU Knights. Both teams as well with a pair of turnovers in the opening quarter. St. Francis setting up some pressure in the backcourt. Blankenship, the post player, dribbling up the floor, bounces into the front court for Weimer, who launches from the right side. That's no good, just inside the arc. Rebound tipped out of bounds in the corner. It's last touched by St. Francis as the Terriers couldn't get a solid grip on the ball. Amina Markovic now returns. She's the leading scorer in the ball game. 7 points here in the first for the Brooklyn native. Markovic averaged 14 points per game and 7.5 boards per game last year in 2 contests against St. Francis. Markovic receives the inbounds pass, skips it out to the left side of the floor for Graham, who gets a return pass now from Zamora. Moves right around a Markovic screen. Top of the key for Weimer, swings right to Zamora. Zone defense for the Terriers. Weimer left open. Deep shot again. That misses off the back iron. And not being able to corral it again are the Terriers as Dorenzo tips it out of bounds. So a number of extra possessions for both teams in the first quarter as well, as Abby Anderson checks in for Jade Johnson. Knights to inbound with Zamora at the hoop to our right on the baseline. Zamora having a little trouble getting it in, finds Blankenship between the circles, feeds the post to Markovic, turns and goes against Lassen, gets to the baseline and to the basket and lays it in. Markovic now with 9 first quarter points, 9 of the Knights 11, as the FDU squad has a 11-8 lead. 2.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter here in Brooklyn Heights. Around the perimeter, they swing it to the left side for Dorenzo. Finds Delaney getting deep position on Weimer. Tried to put up a shot. It's blocked out of bounds. John Thurston wanting a foul call there. The referee on the baseline, Kelly Callahan, saying no, she was straight up, referring to the defensive player. St. Francis keeps it with 16 to shoot. Inbounds is to Delaney. Fires a top of the key 3. It's a little bit short. Rebound once again by Markovic. finds Zamora in transition. Come the Knights racing back left to right. Markovic between the circles. Hands back to Zamora as the Terriers recuperated defensively. Blankenship between the rings, guarded by Lassen, bounces to Markovic, right elbow extended, driving up the right of the lane to the basket, missed the layup short, fighting for her own rebound. Lassen knocked down by Blankenship. A jump ball is called there. Not a foul, but it will give it to St. Francis anyway as they have the possession arrow. So far, a bit of a low-scoring start for these two teams, but it's been close throughout. As we mentioned earlier, of the last 11 games, 8 of which have been won by the Terriers, 8 of the 11 have been decided also by single digits in this series. Mia Ealing probing the right baseline, puts up a pull-up jump shot from 10 feet. That's no good, and on the rebound, on the weak side, Dorenzo fouled Elise Graham, going for that board as Dorenzo now with 2 personal fouls. That's also the Terriers' last foul to give, so the next one, if it comes in the next 1:47, will send FDU to the free throw line. 11-8 Knights with the basketball and a 3-point lead. Zamora driving into a scoop shot, no good. Offensive board inside to Markovic, puts it back up, and it's in and out, no good. Rebounded by Dorenzo. Terriers caught a break there as FDU missed a pair of layups. Dorenzo back the other way for St. Francis. The lefty dishes to the right side of the floor, high right side for Delaney, swings right to the wing for Ealing. Guarded by Zamora. Ealing given the baseline, dribbles to it. Back out to the wing for Lassen. Inside in traffic, Delaney with a tough catch, and she's fouled on that catch by Cameron Weimer. So that's FDU's last foul to give as well. Francion and also Madison Stanley checking in. Casey Carangelo is in the ball game as well for St. Francis. Madeline Comley returns for FDU. So, 5 on the floor for St. Francis now. It's Ealing, Carangelo, Pallarino, Delaney, and Anderson. Inbound is to Pallarino on the left baseline, driving against Stanley, gets to the basket. Her shot is blocked by Stanley, who got the rebound. St. Francis again wanting a foul call there, and none was forthcoming. Zamora to the left wing for FDU. Comley probing the defense, guarded by the taller Carangelo on the perimeter, finds inside. It's Graham with a tough catch. She missed the layup. Rebound by Delaney for St. Francis in the paint. Inside, a minute remaining in the first quarter. Delaney on the right side, guarded closely by Comley. Lobs right of the lane to Carangelo. Up top to Pallarino, swings right to Anderson, and now Delaney near the sideline. Fires a deep NBA 3 and cans it. Alex Delaney showing off the range. Second Terrier three-pointer ties the game at 11. And about a 4-second difference now between the shot and game clocks here in the first quarter. Comley driving into the paint. Dishes out to Graham, right wing, 4-3. In and out, rebounded by Delaney as the ball knocked away from behind. It's loose on the floor. Stanley is there, and she kneels on it. A jump ball is called, and the possession will keep it with Fairleigh Dickinson. St. Francis has had a little bit of trouble securing defensive rebounds in this first quarter. Cameron Weimer will come in for Elise Graham. And Markovic, after a short breather, will come in for Stanley. Sam Keltos will check in for St. Francis Brooklyn, replacing Alex Delaney, who gets her first rest. 17.3 seconds now remaining in the first. No shot clock remaining. Inbound is to Weimer, deep right side 3. That's nothing but net for Cameron Weimer. She's shooting 38% from 3 this year, and the freshman from Maryland gives FDU a 14-11 lead. 5 seconds back the other way. It's Ealing, dishes to a driving Pallarino. Hop step into the paint. Shot blocked by Markovic, and that'll end the first quarter. So Fairleigh Dickinson showing off their defensive chops at several instances, but St. Francis knocking down a couple of threes, able to keep it close. Both teams 3 and 4 in the NEC, and defense was the order of the day in the first quarter. The teams both shot in the 20s for field goal percentage. The Terriers knocked down a couple of threes. FDU hit 1 at the end to break an 11-11 tie. Sam Keltos holds at the right elbow for St. Francis, dribbles left, hands off to Jade Johnson back in off the bench. Dishes off to the right wing for O'Neal. O'Neal guarded one-on-one by Zamora. Between the circles now, Pallarino calling out a play. Finds Johnson, swings left to Keltos. She'll fire a 3. It's short. Offensive board inside. Carangelo catches and lays it in. Carangelo on the board, and St. Francis back within 1. It's 14-13. For the Knights, it's Zamora, along with Francion, Markovic, Comley, and Weimer on the floor to start the second quarter. Comley inside to Markovic, left all alone at the right block, drives, takes some contact, missed the shot, but the offensive board tipped to Zamora. FDU with another offensive rebound there. Comley in the right corner near the Terrier bench, guarded closely by Pallarino. Hesitation dribble, driving into the paint with her left hand, missed the short jump shot, and the rebound by Keltos in traffic for St. Francis. Right to left come the Terriers, galloping up the floor and receiving a lead pass for a layup is Carangelo. A good find in transition from Amy O'Neill. And Carangelo with a couple buckets has given St. Francis their first lead at 15-14 with 8:45 remaining in the second quarter. FDU tries to answer. It's Comley in the right corner looking for Markovic. Instead, up top it goes to Weimer. Head fake on the three, dribbles to the right wing, tries to pass to the top of the key. Ball knocked loose, and then knocking down Markovic. Going for the loose ball is Carangelo on the far side of the lane. A foul called there. That's her first. Peñel Bacata returns for FDU. And also coming back in is the freshman from Woodbridge, New Jersey, Madison Stanley, who had a couple of nice plays in the first quarter. Fairleigh Dickinson with another fresh possession at the hoop to our right. Baseline inbound for Bacata. She finds Stanley, backs it out from the baseline to the corner. And now at the wing, hands to Zamora. Back to Stanley, thought about the three, guarded by Carangelo, freshman on freshman there. Near side wing to Bacata. Bacata driving Johnson to the baseline, shut off by Johnson. Good defense there. Johnson all over Bacata. Dishes back out to Stanley. 12 on the shot clock. Stanley gallops into a right side floater, no good. And the rebound corralled by the Terriers. In transition comes O'Neill back into the front court. O'Neill, right corner to Pallarino. Finds Carangelo, got great position inside, and the layup goes down. How about Casey Carangelo with 6 points to start the second quarter? 17-14, St. Francis Brooklyn in the lead. Crossing over is Zamora into a pull-up 10-foot jump shot. That misses long. Rebound by Pallarino. Poked away into the hands of Stanley. Short roller goes in from the left block for Madison Stanley. And once again, St. Francis having a little trouble securing defensive boards. That's one of the reasons that FDU has been successful today. They've been able to generate extra opportunities. O'Neill on the right wing picks up her dribble. Launches a skip pass to Keltos, fires a high-arcing shot off the mark from three. Rebound loose in the paint, picked up by Zamora. Steps on the back of the head of Pallarino, no call there. FDU comes back in transition. Zamora catches and fires and hits from three in the left corner. Natalie Zamora, the junior from Albuquerque, New Mexico, got away with a foul on the other end. Puts FDU back in front 19-17 with 7 minutes remaining in the second. There have been a number of calls that St. Francis has wanted that they haven't gotten either so far in this ball game. Carangelo between the circles, dishes off on her right to O'Neill, swings right to Pallarino. 10 to shoot, inside pass to Carangelo, backing in. Her shot is blocked away. St. Francis wanted another foul call there, and the loose ball picked up by Weimer in transition. She finds Zamora on the left wing. Dribbles to the elbow, picks up her dribble, near side Bacata, crosses over around a Francion screen, back to Francion, and now returns it to Zamora. Bacata now left of the circle, driving against Carangelo into traffic. Layup good. Nice shot by Peñel Bacata. A tough shot in traffic, and it's now 21-17 Knights. Well, John Thurston's got the jacket off. The head coach for St. Francis has not been happy with the stripes so far. We'll see if the Terriers can pick him up on the offensive end. Here is O'Neill. Handing to a curling Johnson around a double screen, driving up the left of the lane. Her shot is blocked away by Francion. Loose ball is out of bounds as the Knights touched it last on the baseline, and that will trigger a few subs. Markovic and Blankenship are in the ball game for FDU. Hickman and Delaney return for St. Francis. O'Neill looking for someone to inbound it to, finds Pallarino, high left side. O'Neill now on the right wing, dribbles left around a Hickman screen into the paint, kicks out to Pallarino. She knifes inside. Foul line jumper for Hickman, rattles in. Lorraine Hickman getting open at the right spot at the right time, and now St. Francis back within two. It's 21-19. Zamora fires away deep. Three is good straight away. Natalie Zamora left all alone, and she's now got 6 points on a couple of threes here in the second. FDU up 24-19. St. Francis back the other way against a man-to-man look for FDU. That's what they've played all game. Pallarino holds, and a whistle and a foul called, I think, away from the ball. It is on the baseline. It's on Courtney Blankenship. That's Blankenship's first, and also the team's first in this second quarter. Palorino exits. Dana Dorenzo checks back in. A lot of substituting by both teams so far today. Inbound by O'Neal to a curling Delaney. Lost the dribble, and it's out of bounds. Tipped last by Delaney. And so it's FDU ball. Fifth turnover of the game for St. Francis. Fairleigh Dickinson, after a couple of early giveaways, has just 3 for the contest. On the near side in front of our broadcast position, Weimer gets away from a double team, fires up a floater off the glass and didn't draw rim. Rebound by Delaney. Here comes St. Francis right to left. Extra feed in transition to Johnson. Pull-up jump shot on the baseline. Rattles in. Jade Johnson with 5. And St. Francis back within 3. It's 24-21 Knights. FDU looks to respond. Zamora, Bacata, Blankenship, Markovic, and Weimer. At the hoop to our right, Weimer lost the dribble. Bouncing one down low is the Knights to Markovic. She kicks out to the corner. Weimer skip pass to Zamora. As the ball is kept moving, it's 10 to shoot now. Blankenship holds top of the key, hands off to Zamora. Head fake on a 3, dribbling to the baseline. Tough shot is blocked out of the air. Rebound is to Dorenzo for St. Francis, and here come the Terriers again in transition. Baseline jumper for Delaney is good. Off a nice feed from the near side of the floor from Johnson. Alex Delaney now with 5. And St. Francis once again back within 1, and back and forth we go here in Brooklyn Heights. Zamora bounces between the circles to Blankenship, guarded one-on-one by Dorenzo. To the right elbow for Markovic, feeds a cutting Bacata in the paint, nearly walked, and put in the short jump shot off glass. All 3 of Bacata's baskets have come in traffic, as the junior from Canada puts FDU up by 3. Wide open back the other way is Delaney for 3. She missed it short, but a weak side rebound to Dorenzo. Delaney catches on the left wing once again, driving Markovic onto the baseline, and an offensive foul is called on Delaney. A push-off there as Markovic stood her ground on defense. That's Delaney's first, and it will send us to another media timeout. 26-23, a close ball game so far. Fairleigh Dickinson on top of St. Francis, and we'll be back after this on NEC Front Row.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Paul Patino with this week's edition of the NEC Notebook, presented by Pilot Pen, power to the pen. Wagner guard JoJo Cooper is the NEC Player of the Week. He averaged 14 points, 9 assists, and nearly 9 rebounds a game, and wins over St. Francis U and Robert Morris. The Rookie of the Week is Jalen Jordan of St. Francis Brooklyn. Our senior spotlight shines on the Mounds Chris Wade for what he did to Fairleigh Dickinson, raised the first NCAA player to reach the stat line put up by Ben Simmons of LSU in 2015. That's when the current Philadelphia 76er posted at least 12 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and 5 steals. Catch CCSU at Bryant at 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN3, followed at 9 by LIU facing the Mount on CBS Sports Network. On Friday, it's Wagner heading to St. Francis U for a 5 o'clock tip-off on ESPNU. All other league games can be seen live and in HD at NECFrontRow.com, where content is always free. Don't forget to follow the NEC on Twitter at NEC Sports, or check us out at northeastconference.org.
It's back in Brooklyn Heights. Fairleigh Dickinson continuing to hold St. Francis at arm's length. It's 26-23 with 3:47 remaining in the first half. Coming up at the half, we'll take you through the first half stats, and we'll also give you a look around the NEC and the nation here on this Friday night. It's all coming up at the half here on NEC Front Row. FDU with the basketball after a St. Francis offensive foul led us to that previous media timeout. Stanley bounces to Bacata right of the lane, and she travels trying to pivot against St. Francis Brooklyn's defense. For St. Francis, Dorenzo, Delaney, Hickman, Johnson, and O'Neal are the 5 on the floor. For FDU in the traveling maroon and white, they have Comley, Zamora, Bacata, Francion, and Stanley. On the right baseline, facing up is Hickman. Fires one out to Delaney. Delaney driving calmly to the top of the key. Hands to O'Neal. Puts up a jump shot. That's off the back rim. Rebound pulled down in traffic by Francion. Outlet pass to Zamora. Here come the Knights. Calmly thought about the 3. Up top for it goes to Bacata. Swings right to Francion. Francion back to Bacata, calling out a play, holding up one hand on her, or one finger on her left hand. Bounces to Comley. Drives to the baseline. Nothing there. Good defense by O'Neal. Now left around a screen goes Comley. Finds Bacata left wing. Bacata against Dorenzo. Crosses right around a screen. Switched onto by Delaney. Up top for Stanley. 3 to shoot. Zamora on the right wing. Moves left around a screen. Good hedge by Hickman. Firing a jump shot is Zamora. That's no good, and a shot clock violation as it never hit the rim as well. Good defense by St. Francis on that trip. FDU gets Graham back in while St. Francis returns Lassen and Pallarino to the floor. Terriers have played every single player on their roster that is active in this first half, including Lassen. Lassen catches a feed from O'Neal at the right elbow extended, pivots, dribbles left to the top of the key, hands to Pallarino, shoots it right side for O'Neal behind the arc. Inside Lassen, one-on-one against Francion. Her shot is blocked by Francion. Another good block by her. Down low, and the loose ball picked up by the Knights. Five blocks now for the Knights. Defensively, as Zamora picks up her dribble in a bad spot, tries to get it to Graham. Ball knocked loose. It's on the floor. Diving on it is O'Neal. Bounces it out to Delaney. Here come the Terriers in transition. Pallarino catching a high dribble. Floater inside. No good. Rebound tipped away by Francion. And it's corralled on the baseline by the FDU post player. Zamora in transition finds Stanley. Dribbles to the left wing. Shut off defensively there. Trying to lob to Zamora. Threw it behind her and stolen away by O'Neal. And here come the Terriers again. Bouncing one toward Lassen is O'Neal. Ball knocked free. Out of bounds, and it's last touched by St. Francis, I think. Yes. John Thurston, again, not liking the officiating here. He's got both of his arms out. There are several calls in this first half that he has not liked either. Calls that he thought should have been made in favor of his Terriers, and also calls that were not made that he felt should have been in favor of his Terriers. So St. Francis trailing by 3 here, 26-23. Markovic gallops up the right of the lane, finds Francion. Tough pass across the lane, missed the layup, did Francion, and the weak side rebound near side to Pallarino. Here come the Terriers into the front court, right to left. Delaney, catch and shoot, right side three is an air ball, but right into the hands of Johnson. St. Francis with a fresh possession, although that ball never hit the rim, so it's not a fresh shot clock. 14 on the shot clock here as Pallarino crosses over, driving against Markovic to the basket, hammered as she went up for a shot. She'll head to the free throw line as that whistle was blown on the baseline by Kevin Sparrick. So that foul will go against Amina Markovic, her first. Markovic with 9 points all in the first quarter to lead the Knights in scoring. And Pallarino at the free throw line where she has shot 71% on the season, second best mark on the team behind Johnson as she misses the first. Casey Carangelo returns, replacing Allie Lassen for St. Francis. Courtney Blankenship also back in as both teams continue to sub continuously. As Cameron Weimer, just as we were saying that, checks in again for FDU. Pallarino Jr. from Irwin, Pennsylvania. Terriers leading rebounder, although they do rebound as a team. Second free throw goes down as she splits the pair. It's now a 2-point ball game coming up on 1 minute remaining in this first half. A very defensive-oriented half for both of these teams. Markovic holding right elbow. Skip pass to the left side wing to Weimer. Guarded by Delaney. Near side to Comley. Tries to turn and go, and a whistle. And it's an offensive foul away from the ball against Zamora. That's her second. FDU with one more foul to give. 57.2 seconds remaining in the first. St. Francis can tie with a 2 or take the lead with a 3. O'Neal bringing up the floor here on Australia Day. The Australian calls out a play. Dribbles to the right wing. Bounces inside to Carangelo against a double team. Out to O'Neal. Flips it near side to a cutting Delaney as her shot blocked from behind by Comley. It will remain with St. Francis. Another block for FDU. Their 6th of the game. O'Neal inbounds it out high to Pallarino. Quick pass down low intended for Carangelo. Broken up from behind. In transition comes Weimer, dribbling to the foul line, shuts it off. Outside Comley, catch and shoot 3 is a little bit short. Rebound by Markovic. And as she hit the deck, a foul called from behind on Pallarino. Loose ball foul there. It's Pallarino's second. Both teams now with 3 fouls as this will be an inbound on the baseline for Comley along with Weimer, Markovic, Blankenship, and Zamora. Inbound is to Weimer. Shot clock and game clock just about even. Markovic driving inside, kicks out to Blankenship, bounces to Zamora. Extra feed to Weimer, catch and shoot 3. Good from the left corner for Cameron Weimer, her second 3 of the game. The freshman with 6 points, and it's a 29-24 FDU advantage. Shot clock now off. as St. Francis operates at the basket to our left. Now 8 seconds for Johnson. Johnson against Weimer, probing the defense. 4 seconds. Pallarino on the right wing. 2 seconds. Pallarino driving into Markovic. Tries to get a shot off, and it's blocked by Markovic, but a foul is called there as Markovic got caught with her arms down. Pete Sanella does not like that call from Gary Schimmel, and that came before the 4, 3, and just 1 point last year here on this floor. 0.8 seconds is what is put back on the shot clock and game clock. And so Pallarino back at the free throw line where she was 1 out of 2 just a couple moments ago. First free throw here is perfect. 6 first half points for Pallarino. Francione comes back in for Weimer, giving the Knights an extra rebounder there. Pallarino trying to make a one-possession game here at the half. Her second free throw is up and good. 7 points now for Pallarino. 0.8 seconds remaining. Inbound is to Zamora, and they will not attempt a shot as Fairleigh Dickinson ends the first half. 29-26, a defensive, low-scoring ball game here at the Pope Center on this Friday night. Fairleigh Dickinson leading St. Francis at the break. And as we promised, we'll come back with first half stats and then a look at the scores from around the NEC and the nation as we step aside on NEC Front Row. We'll be back after this.
When you don't have the Terrier Sports Network like Rocky, life just isn't easy. Quite frankly, it's hard to multitask. However, when you have TSN like St. Francis College women's basketball star Dana DiRenzo, you can watch Terrier Sports live in high definition, all while solving a Rubik's Cube in less than 2 minutes. Don't be like Rocky. Get in the game like Dana and watch the Terrier Sports Network.
It's time for another edition of the NEC 9, the top 9 players from the past week in Northeast Conference hoops action. Starting us off at number 9, St. Francis Brooklyn's Jade Johnson finds a cutting Maria Pallarino for the layup and the foul against CCSU.
You mentioned, Sam, that early one in the first quarter.
Nice pass and the foul. And that pass just over the top of Johnson. Pallarino able to finish.
At number 8, Wagner's JoJo Cooper makes this long bounce pass to Elijah Davis, who lays it in for 2 and draws the foul.
Close as 6. Washington. No. Cooper. The home run pass to Davis, who lays it in and 1. Elijah Davis gets a 60-foot pass from JoJo Cooper. Fouled by McConnell. And Elijah just strong. Wagner rolling now here at home, back up by 11.
For number 7, we head to Brooklyn. LIU's Julian Batts threads the needle with this bounce pass to Jashawn Augusto, and he lays it in for 2 off the glass.
Remember, they went on a 7-0 run going into halftime. Johnson with a shot that just wasn't there. Batts, perfect skip pass, and Augusto lays it in. That was on a fishing line.
Number 6, Fairleigh Dickinson's Mike Holloway with some fancy footwork as he spins his way to the hoop for the dunk against Mount St. Mary's.
You can't allow him to dribble through 5 white shirts. Holloway spinning the other way. Oh, I like that, Sam. That's Akeem Olajuwon, the drop step dunk by the big fella.
Coming in at number 5. Yes, that's Mount's Chris Ray playing point guard. He takes the ball down the court and makes this pretty no-look pass to Greg Alexander.
Back off as Ray handles it into the front court. Goes from second to third gear, leaves it off. Alexander with authority.
Nice pass from Chris Ray. First of all, to get somebody 6'8", bring the ball up the floor at this level, and then make that play, what a superb pass.
At number 4, Mount St. Mary's forces overtime against St. Francis U, thanks to this Daly Sullivan three-pointer.
Maya Wynn goes down looking for the call. Ashley White pushes up ahead. Down three. Sullivan shot fake. Three on the way. Blocked in front, doing an offensive rebound. She turns it over. 5 on the clock. Sullivan a three. Banks it home. 3 seconds. Kovacs 2. Half court buzzer beater. Shorts.
Number 3.
It's halftime here at the Pope Center on this Friday night, a rare Friday night women's basketball contest in the NEC, and Fairleigh Dickinson leading the Terriers 29-26 at the break. Jason Garrett with you here for the action on NEC Front Row, and balanced scoring for both teams. Amina Markovic with 9 points to lead all scorers in the first half for FDU, and 5 rebounds as well. 6 apiece for Peniel Bacata, Natalie Zamora, and Cameron Weimer. The latter two had 2 3-pointers apiece to get to those 6 points. 2 points as well for Madison Stanley. And that is the entirety of the scoring for Fairleigh Dickinson. Lauren Francion did not score, but she did grab 5 rebounds and block a pair of shots in 13 minutes. Overall, FDU shot 33% from the floor, 4 out of 10 from 3-point range, 3 out of 4 in the second quarter for 9 of their 15 points in that span. Meanwhile, for St. Francis, they got 7 points and 4 rebounds, as well as 3 assists from Maria Pallarino, continuing her strong offensive play. Alex Delaney finished with 5 points, 5 rebounds as well. She shot just 1 out of 5 from beyond the 3-point line, and St. Francis would love to get her going offensively with her deep shot in the second half. Jade Johnson also finished with 5 points, 3 rebounds and 2 assists as well, as on Australia Day, the Terriers' leading scorer, who happens to be from Australia, has 5 first-half points. 6 points off the bench, all in the second quarter for Casey Carangelo. And 1 point on a free throw from Amy O'Neill, who had a quiet first half statistically. Terriers shot 10 of 31 from the field for 32.38 was the final score in that ball game. Fairleigh Dickinson going for their 3rd win in a row tonight, as they'll have the ball to start the second half. St. Francis going for their 4th win in their last 5 overall. Lucia Serrano-Rands, who started this ball game, is back out to start the second half. She's on the right wing, guarded closely by O'Neill. Flips it up top, intended for Comley. Ball knocked away from behind, stolen by Delaney. 3-on-1 if they can hurry. Jade Johnson driving up the left of the lane, missed the layup. Rebound tipped out of bounds by Hickman, and it will go over to FDU. It's Comley along with Serrano-Rands, Bacata, Markovic, and Francie on the starting 5 on the floor for FDU to start the second half. Same for St. Francis Brooklyn: Johnson, O'Neill, Delaney, Hickman, and Pallarino. Francion holding on the left elbow, and a whistle and a foul called away from the ball. It is going to be on Jade Johnson. That's her first. Nobody in foul trouble really for either team. A couple of players with 2 each. Most notably Amina Markovic, but nobody in real foul trouble, as those second fouls were committed late in the first half. Driving baseline is Comley. Tries to whip it cross court. Serrano-Rands has it stolen away by Pallarino. Back the other way. FDU gets back in transition on defense, and a whistle and an armbar foul called on Serrano-Rands as Pallarino tried to probe the defense. That's Serrano-Rands' second foul. Terriers will inbound it from the baseline, trailing by 3, 29-26. Close to 1 minute gone by in the third quarter. O'Neill inbounds to Pallarino up top. Terriers operate their offense, which has been red hot lately, but was held in check in the first half by FDU. Delaney drives inside with her left hand, pushes one up with her left hand off the glass and back rim. Rebound in the paint to Comley for FDU. Knights in the traveling maroon find Bacata on the right wing, driving around Pallarino on the baseline. A whistle and a blocking foul is going to be called here. That's on Pallarino, and that is her 3rd. So there's the first player in foul trouble for either team, really. Dana DiRenzo will check in for Pallarino, almost on cue. Serrano-Rands will give way to Francion, who will do the honors on the inbounds. FDU gets it in up top for Serrano-Rands, finds a curling Comley on the right wing, drives inside, pull-up, short jump shot, rolls off the front rim and in. First points of the game for the second leading scorer for FDU, Madeline Comley. Averages close to 12 points per game and has been the best shooter in the NEC this year, all things considered. Back to a 5-point margin for the Knights, 31-26. O'Neal at the top of the key. Hesitation dribble, drives to the baseline, steps back, finds Hickman. Short jump shot from the right wing. That's good. Rolls in for Lorraine Hickman. 4 points for the junior out of Floral Park on Long Island. Back to a 3-point game, 31-28. Bakata between the circles, bounces to a cutting Serrano Rands. Pass back toward Bakata is smacked out of bounds. Good denied defense by Delaney as it heads toward a crowd of folks. Primetime NEC women's basketball here on NEC Front Row. Thanks for being with us, no matter where you're tuning in. 8:08 remaining in the third quarter. St. Francis has taken a couple of leads in this game, but it's been very, very close throughout. Even for FDU, they've led really only by as many as about 5. Zamora between the circles, 6 to shoot. Now they whip it to the baseline. Markovic, pull-up jump shot, goes down with 3 down on the shot clock. Markovic scores for the first time since the first quarter and now has a game-high 11 for the Knights. Back to a 5-point deficit for St. Francis at the hoop to our right now in this second half. O'Neal fakes a pass down low, finds Dorenzo out high, back to O'Neal in the right corner. Now Johnson at the top of the key. Johnson crossing over against Bakata, stops at the foul line, kicks out to Delaney, now with 7 to shoot. Delaney straight away, guarded by Comley, hands to a driving O'Neal into the paint, bounces baseline. Dorenzo pulls up, jump shot. That's a little bit short, rebound weak side to Francion. Her outlet pass, though, is out of bounds, and it's a turnover for the Knights as Zamora couldn't handle it. St. Francis getting the 10th turnover of the contest for Fairleigh Dickinson. They're being outscored in points off turnovers, however, 10-0. That's one of the reasons that they have this 5-point margin. Markovic guards Dorenzo on the right wing, trying to hit Johnson curling into the paint. Ball was thrown right at her feet, and then a whistle in the scrum on the floor, and a foul is going to be called on St. Francis. Lorraine Hickman does not like that call. She says, hold on just a little bit, Gary Schimmel. You're saying that I committed that foul? And Gary Schimmel responds, yes, the veteran referee. It's Hickman's first. It's also the team's third already in the first 3 minutes of the third quarter. Comley on the right side, high behind the arc. Dribbles across the top of the key, hands to Bakata. Got a bump from O'Neal, kicks out on the drive to Markovic, puts up for 3, and rolls it in. Amina Markovic is now 1 for 3 from three-point range on the year. And it's 36-28. FDU with their largest lead of the game at 8. Terriers looking for some points on offense. O'Neal pulls up from left wing, and that's good from 3. Amy O'Neal responds with a triple of her own. She's now 5 of 19 from beyond the arc. And back to a 5-point game, 36-31. Zamora bounces to Markovic at the elbow, feeds Bakata, got behind Delaney and laid it in for 2. Another tough bucket for Peniel Bakata. 8 points for the junior. And back to now to a 7-point margin for FDU. On the right wing, Delaney looking to answer, driving into the paint against Comley. Crosses across the foul line, now back to the right wing for Hickman. Finds O'Neal, pump fakes at the elbow. Hands now to Johnson, pull up long 2 is no good. Rebound on the weak side, tipped out of bounds by Dorenzo, and the Terriers still are struggling to get baskets. Blankenship comes in for Francion, as the Knights are certainly living up to their tough defensive moniker that was suggested statistically coming in. Pressure in the backcourt for St. Francis here, as Bakata breaks it up the far side of the floor into the front court. Now against his own defense, Blankenship drives to the right baseline, trying to get around Hickman. Her pass is knocked out by Dorenzo on the near side. It will stay with the Knights with 16 to shoot. Dorenzo exits in favor of Sam Keltos. Terriers trailing by 7, 38-31 here, coming up on the midway point of this third quarter. Inbound is to Comley, driving into the paint, gets around a couple defenders and lays it in. Nice drive by Comley, and it's now a 9-point lead for the Knights. It's their largest of the game once again, 40-31. Knights have come out and they've hit their shots while St. Francis is still struggling. Skip pass near side Johnson, thought about the deep 3, driving, crossing over, driving into Zamora. Layup through traffic won't go, but a foul is called as Zamora picks up the blocking foul, her third. That sends Jade Johnson to the free throw line, where she is a tremendous free throw shooter, 80% on the year. And in her last 4 games coming in, 23 out of 26. That's 88%. Free throw perfect for Johnson, the sophomore sharpshooter. Now with 6 points, she's been held in check. Carangelo checks in for Hickman. As Johnson, who's been in double figures 15 times, including 12 over the last 13 games, and in the 20-point territory 5 times this year, she rattles in the second free throw and brings the Terriers back within 7, 40-33. Zamora between the circles, looks to answer for FDU, guarded by O'Neal in the man-to-man defense. Hooks it to the near corner, or rather far corner for Bakata. High post, it goes to Markovic, driving around Johnson, and the layup goes down for Markovic. Amina Markovic now with 16 points. Perhaps it's the odd quarters she likes. All her points have come in either the first or third. Back to a 9-point ball game, 42-33. Carangelo flips it out to Johnson straight away, swings right to O'Neal. O'Neal back to the top of the key for Keltos. Around the perimeter now to Johnson, left corner, 10 to shoot. Johnson driving through Blankenship to the basket, missed the layup short. Rebound is tipped into the hands of Keltos, and a fresh possession here for St. Francis. Skip pass, far side of the floor. Inside it goes to Carangelo, and she's fouled on the way up as Markovic came away with the ball. Comley is called for the foul as she was helping out. Her first, and so shooting 3 of 11 from downtown, being outscored 13-0 in points off turnovers, despite only committing one fewer turnover than Fairleigh Dickinson has to this point. At the free throw line, Casey Carangelo, she's short on the first. Carangelo shooting 50% from the free throw line in this her freshman season from Thomaston, Connecticut. Second free throw up and good. Perfect, in fact, for Carangelo as she splits the pair and holds true to her average. Terriers trailing by 8, 42-34. Comley, Blankenship, Markovic, Weimer, and Bakata are the 5 on the floor for FDU now with the basketball out of the media timeout. Against his own defense, bouncing inside is Markovic, and Markovic gets to the basket around O'Neal, and Amina Markovic lays it in. Now Markovic with 18 points, 1 away from her season high. And it's a 10-point lead for FDU. Delaney back the other way, driving. Comley to the baseline, gets to the basket, missed the layup short. And the rebound by Bakata, racing back the other way for FDU is Bakata. Drives to the elbow, jump pass to Weimer. Weimer closed in on by Johnson. Around the perimeter now, Bakata gets it back, drives baseline around Keltos to the basket, missed the layup short. Rebound by Carangelo for St. Francis. Terriers in transition. Johnson weaves to the top of the key, finds O'Neal quickly to the right of the lane. Carangelo probing against Blankenship, spins to the basket and lays it in off glass. Casey Carangelo with 9. And the Terriers back within 8, looking for now defensive stops to go along with points. 3:10 remaining in the third quarter. Comley, right of the circle, up top between the circles for Blankenship. Guarded by Carangelo. Skip pass far wing to Comley. Fakes on the drive to the baseline, driving inside. Lost the dribble, tried to pass it out. Stolen away by Carangelo, up to Keltos. Keltos driving in transition, ball poked away from behind by Bakata, but a foul called on a reach. So Bakata picks up her first, and that's the last FDU foul to give. Next one will send St. Francis to the foul line as St. Francis will inbound on the baseline. Keltos, Johnson, Delaney, Carangelo, and O'Neal, who fires the inbounds pass to Johnson. Deep straightaway 3. Off to the left, no good. Rebound tipped by Keltos to Francion. FDU controls, and they bring it back right to left. Comley kicks out to Weimer. Thought about the 3. Good closing defense, though, by O'Neal getting back. Pass to the near side, stolen away. Good denied defense by Johnson. 1-on-1, driving against Blankenship. Stopped her dribble. Ball stripped out by Blankenship. Pretty good defense there by the sophomore from Texas. As Comley exits in favor of Zamora, St. Francis keeps it underneath their own basket. St. Francis still without a single point off a Fairleigh Dickinson turnover. O'Neal gets it into Keltos, high left side. Left wing to Delaney, tries to find Carangelo inside. Ball is stripped away and kept in bounds in the corner by Francion. In transition, Blankenship keeping her dribble up top now between the circles. Bakata driving against Keltos, drives into Carangelo, layup good and a foul. Danielle Bakata scores, and she'll go to the line for a chance at a 3-point play. Bakata now with 10. as Carangelo commits her second. St. Francis really struggling to get anything to drop offensively. As Bakata, who is a 74% free throw shooter, is at the free throw line here. Free throw up and perfect for Bakata. Now with 11 points, and that's the lead now for FDU. It's their largest of the game. 47-36. O'Neal on the right wing, around a Carangelo screen. Keeping her dribble alive, drops it down to Carangelo. Ball went right through her legs. She lost it in another turnover. Picked up by Blankenship. In transition comes FDU. Weimer up top, Zamora left open for three, and it's good. Zamora with her third three of the game, and the Knights beginning to run away with it here in Brooklyn. A timeout on the floor here in the third quarter. They've outscored the Terriers 21-10 in the period, and they have a 14-point lead, 50-36, with 1:47 remaining in the third. Jason Garrett back with you here on NEC Front Row. And St. Francis now is hoping to find some offense somewhere, as the Terriers have been held to 3 of 10 in this quarter and 32% for the game. Delaney up top, Johnson swings left to O'Neal. O'Neal stops at the head of the key, finds Johnson right wing, fakes on a three, dribbles to the foul line, shut off by Bakata. Now Ealing straight away, she's in off the bench. Ealing driving around Blankenship, gets to the basket, teardrop layup won't go. Offensive board to Ealing right underneath the basket. Kicks out to Hickman, and she has the ball knocked out of her hands by Blankenship, and it's last touched by Hickman. FDU has been absolutely killer against St. Francis in the points off turnover department today, outscoring the Terriers in points off turnovers 19-0. 1 minute remaining in the third quarter. Pass through the legs of Francion nearly into the backcourt, but she catches, and now a timeout called by Pete Sinella. A 30-second timeout, and we will keep it right here. Quarter, including a perfect six off the last two giveaways. Meanwhile, FDU also knocking down the three-point shots, 6 of 12 from deep compared to the Terriers' 3 of 12. Inbound is to Zamora. 10 seconds on the shot clock here. Now 8 to shoot for Zamora. Hands to Bakata. Bakata with 5 to shoot. Drives inside. Takes some contact. Missed the layup. Rebound corralled by Johnson. And she stepped on the end line out of bounds. That's another turnover for the Terriers. Markovic, Bakata, Blankenship, Weimer, and Zamora are the 5 on the floor for the Knights. Defensively for St. Francis, Delaney, Johnson, O'Neal, Pallarino, and Ealing. Fresh shot clock here for FDU. Weimer right around a Blankenship screen to the top of the key. Shoots it to the left side for Zamora. Circles back out high around a screen. Hedged there by Johnson. Firing a three is Zamora, and she cannot get the shooter's roll off the rim and glass and rim again into the hands of Delaney for St. Francis. Terriers back the other way in transition. O'Neal stops at the elbow. Back out to Delaney. Returns it to O'Neal. Thought about a three. Drives inside. Dishes out to Delaney. Left corner for three. That's good. Big three for Alex Delaney and the Terriers. Delaney now with 8. And it's an 11-point ball game. Shot clock off. Zamora with 8 seconds crosses the timeline. Wants a screen. Gets one from Blankenship. Zamora hands to Weimer. Pulls up for 3 with 2 to shoot. Air ball rebounded by Pallarino, and that ends the third quarter. So St. Francis trailing by 11 entering the final 10 minutes. We'll see if the Terriers can make a big push here on their home floor on this Friday night. We'll be back after these words with the fourth quarter on NEC Front Row.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Paul Tatino with this week's edition of the NEC Notebook, presented by Pilot Pen, powered to the pen. Wagner guard JoJo Cooper is the NEC Player of the Week. He averaged 14 points, 9 assists, and nearly 9 rebounds a game and wins over St. Francis U and Robert Morris. The Rookie of the Week is Jalen Jordan of St. Francis, Brooklyn. Our senior spotlight shines on the Mount's Chris Way for what he did to Fairleigh Dickinson, raised the first NCAA player to reach the stat line put up by Ben Simmons of LSU in 2015. That's when the current Philadelphia 76er posted at least 12 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and 5 steals. Catch CCSU at Bryant at 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN3, followed at 9 by LIU facing the Mount on CBS Sports Network. On Friday, it's Wagner heading to St. Francis U for a 5 o'clock tip-off on ESPNU. All other league games can be seen live and in HD at NECFrontRow.com, where content is always free. Don't forget to follow the NEC on Twitter at NEC Sports, or check us out at northeastconference.org.
It's the NEC 9. Time to take a look at the top 9 players.
Start of the fourth quarter, Fairleigh Dickinson in control, up by 11 points, 50-39. Jason Garrett with you here on NEC Front Row. Amina Markovic with 18 points, Peniel Bacata with 11. And they've been the scorers for Fairleigh Dickinson. For St. Francis, they've got 4 players with between 7 and 9 points, 7 each for Pallarino and Johnson, 8 for Delaney, 9 to lead the squad for Casey Carangelo off the bench. St. Francis has had trouble scoring for pretty much the entire game as O'Neal dishes into the right corner for Ealing. A zone defense here, it looks like, for FDU as O'Neal drives against Zamora, gets to the basket, keeping the dribble alive, and she lays it in. Amy O'Neal now with 6 as FDU's lead is 9. Quick 5-0 spurt for the Terriers. Bacata driving against Ealing, missed the layup right at the rim. Rebound to Francion, and she throws it out of bounds far side. Zamora couldn't handle it. It was kind of at her foot, an in-between hop. And FDU turns the ball over. Can the Terriers get a point off of that turnover? They haven't gotten any tonight off the giveaways by the Knights. Pallarino left of the circle, given space by Francion. Hands to O'Neal, straight away. Swings left side to Ealing, behind the arc. Ealing bounces to a cutting Delaney, catches right underneath, puts it up, can't get it to go, rebounded by Francion. Zamora and the Knights come back the other way. Zamora with Comley, Markovic, Francion, and Bacata. Bounce pass right side to Comley. Inside it goes to Markovic, and she's fouled from behind. A reach in there. A hand check foul called on Alex Delaney. It's only her second. Maria Pallarino is the only Terrier with 3 or more fouls. Zamora the only one on the FDU side, so fouls have not been the story of this game. Bacata holds in the right corner. Circles back out high with her left-hand dribble. Now to the right wing, moves left around a Francion screen, switched onto by Pallarino. Good defense there by St. Francis, but Markovic gets the safety valve away for FDU. Now to Zamora, crosses over, dribbles inside the arc. Out to Markovic, trying to drive and spin. Ball knocked away, nearly stolen. Francion then reached in on and fouled again by Delaney. Terriers nearly came up with another turnover there as Delaney now with 3. It's also the team's second. FDU will inbound with another fresh shot clock. They've led by as many as 14 points here in the second half. It's 50-41 at the moment. 9-point edge for the visiting Knights. Looking for their 3rd win in a row in NEC play. Comley straight away. Finds Bacata on the right wing behind the arc. Moves left around a slip screen from Francion. Her pass up top is tipped into the backcourt by Ealing, but Comley goes back to get it. Comley crosses over around a Francion screen. Bounces inside to Francion. Got to the basket, missed the layup strong. Rebounded by O'Neal for St. Francis. In transition, O'Neal, right elbow extended up top for Delaney. Head fake on a 3, dribbles inside the arc. Finds O'Neal, left wide open for 3. Right wing is a little bit strong. Rebounded by Francion again. Zamora in transition. Finds Bacata left wing, given a little bit of space. Bacata now driving into the paint. Took some contact, no call. Out top Zamora, another 3 and another make. Natalie Zamora has 4 threes in this game. 12 points for the junior from Albuquerque, New Mexico off the bench. 53-41 as Johnson tries to answer from the left wing and misses. Rebound weak side by Markovic. That's a tough sequence there for St. Francis. Zamora between the circles. To Markovic right of the circle. Backing in on Delaney, gets to the baseline. Lost the pass out high. It's loose on the floor between the circles. Comley nearly had it knocked away. FDU somehow comes up with possession. Francion driving, fading from the baseline. She gets the short jump shot to go. And Francion scores her first points of the game, and it's back to the largest lead for FDU, 55-41. Ealing fires right wing, and that's good from 3. Big shot for Ealing and the Terriers. A quick answer there. And back to an 11-point game. Does St. Francis have a run in them? 5-1 on their home floor this year, averaging over 70 points per game. Can they get it going here on this Friday night? Bakata for FDU. At the top of the arc, picks up her dribble. Exits out of it to Zamora. Zamora around a screen from Markovic. Deep three, left side, off the back rim. Bakata had the ball go in and out of her hands. And off of Johnson, it comes to Pallarino. Here come the Terriers left to right. O'Neal driving in transition. Hesitation dribble. Underneath the basket, finds Pallarino left corner. Misses on the three off front iron. Rebounded by Zamora for FDU. Terriers getting some good looks from outside, but not knocking them down in this fourth. Lead is 55-44 for FDU. Comley shut off on the baseline, bounces out to Markovic. She'll fire another three. That's way short into the hands of Delaney for St. Francis. In transition, Delaney had someone run right in front of her, and she committed a double dribble violation. Blankenship, Graham, and Weimer all check in off the FDU bench. Sam Keltos back in for St. Francis. So right now, Markovic is off the floor, as well as Zamora. Or no, Zamora is still on the floor. Markovic and Bakata are off the floor. Driving is Graham into the paint. Dishes out to Blankenship. Right elbow jumper, no good. Offensive board. Putback misses for Francion. Rebound still loose. Tipped out of bounds by FDU. 5:42 remaining fourth quarter. St. Francis down by 11 points. Now, they're the best three-point shooting team in the league this year. And they've shown an ability to catch fire from time to time. O'Neal shoots it to the left side for Keltos, driving into the paint. Short jump shot. The right hand misses off the glass, rebounded by FDU. Zamora looking to slow things down for the Knights. Head of the key, Blankenship, guarded closely by Pallarino. Blankenship drives through traffic, takes some contact, flips it up, and misses everything, but she'll head to the free throw line. That's on Pallarino, and it's her fourth. Terriers with one more foul to give. FDU has not committed a foul in this fourth quarter yet. Courtney Blankenship at the free throw line. Was a starter as a freshman last year. She's come off the bench this season. First free throw rolls in. 62% free throw shooter is Blankenship. Alex Delaney and Abby Anderson check back in for St. Francis. Second free throw for the Saxe, Texas native Blankenship. Puts it up, and it's off the front rim. Rebound skied for by Ealing. So it's a 12-point ball game. Ealing in transition to the left wing for O'Neal. Fires another three, and she knocks it down. O'Neal with her second three-pointer of the game, now with 9 for St. Francis. All but one of them in the second half. Terriers still hanging around. They're down by 9 and a steal in the backcourt. Ealing, one-on-one with Blankenship, drives to the basket, misses the layup. There's Delaney for the putback. 10 points for Delaney. Here comes Zamora racing back the other way. No one back defensively. Zamora lays it in. That's an awfully big make for FDU. Terriers trying to answer quickly. Ealing, left corner, catch and shoot three. Yes! Mia Ealing with her second three in this fourth quarter. It's back to a 6-point game. Here come the Terriers. 4:29 remaining in the fourth quarter. St. Francis Brooklyn on an 8-2 run over the last minute or so. A trail 58-52 against the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights. Looking for a comeback here after trailing by as many as 14 earlier in this quarter. FDU with the basketball in the backcourt. St. Francis putting on some full court pressure. Inbounds pass is nearly thrown away. It's near half court. It's tipped into the front court by Markovic, and then she's bumped and fouled by Johnson. Oh, the Terriers nearly had another turnover as Johnson picks up her second. Now FDU will inbound with a fresh shot clock underneath their own basket. Inbound is to Weimer. Pulls up for a long two and rolls it in. Just inside the arc for Cameron Weimer. 8 points now for the freshman, and it's an 8-point lead for Fairleigh Dickinson. O'Neal in transition, kicks out. Johnson thought about the three, dribbles inside the arc with her left hand, kicks out to Ealing, swings left to Delaney, fires it to a cutting Anderson, gets the basket, layup is good. Abby Anderson with a great cut off the ball. FDU with some pressure to deal with in the backcourt once again. Comley skips it to Markovic into the front court, and now the Knights can set up. A 6-point deficit for St. Francis, closest they've been in quite some time. Weimer, left around a slip screen from Blankenship, finds Markovic, top of the key. 10 to shoot. Zamora around a screen, flips it back to Markovic, driving around O'Neal into the paint, missed the layup, got her on rebound, ball stripped on the baseline, stolen by Delaney. O'Neal in transition for St. Francis, trailing by 6. O'Neal kicks out, wide open, Ealing left side three, off back rim, rebound, tipped, out of bounds, last touch by St. Francis. It will be Knights basketball with 3:22 remaining in the fourth quarter as Bakata returns for Blankenship. Markovic, as you know, is back in. Weimer, Bakata, Zamora, and Comley are the other Knights on the floor. More pressure in the backcourt by St. Francis. Markovic dribbling against O'Neal, finds a cutting Zamora. Up the floor, she fell down, nearly lost the dribble, and a whistle. And a foul called, no, not a foul called, a timeout called by FDU. Terriers almost had another turnover. One at the 7:02 mark. Since then, a 14-5 spurt by St. Francis has gotten them right back in this ballgame. Inbound is nearly thrown away again. That ball is thrown away. Stolen by Delaney in the front court. Up ahead to Johnson, driving, and she's stripped and fouled by Comley. Here comes St. Francis with 3:08 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jade Johnson draws the very first foul on the Knights in this quarter. And that's something to watch. Inbound on the baseline for the Terriers in their front court. Inbounds pass is thrown to Delaney. Skip pass to Johnson. Thought about the three. Driving against Bakata. Hands to Anderson. Anderson near side Delaney. Guarded by Comley. To the corner it goes to Ealing. Ealing. Up high to Johnson. Johnson steps back for a deep three. Short. Rebound by O'Neal in the paint. Hands off to Anderson. Stripped out of bounds. Off of her foot, I think. No, it's last touched by the Knights. And St. Francis will keep it. O'Neal decided to pass off, trying for a better shot in Anderson's favor. Sam Keltos is going to come in for Anderson, who looked like she may have gotten raked across the face there on the strip. O'Neal, who's had a real good second half offensively, will do the honors on the inbound again on the opposite side of the baseline. 2:48 remaining in the fourth quarter. A 6-point edge for the Knights. Inbound is to Keltos on the baseline. Turns and goes against Markovic. Pivoting. Bounce pass through traffic to O'Neal. Reverse layup is good. Oh, what a pass. O'Neal with 11. It's a 4-point game with 2.5 to go. Here's Comley in the front court for FDU. Man-to-man defense for St. Francis. They're wanting to stop. Zamora straight away to Markovic, right of the circle. Guarded by Ealing. Out to Weimer. Swings it left to Zamora. Good defense by Keltos. Up top, Bakata driving against Johnson. Shut off. Pivots. Double teamed is Bakata. Threw it away. Stolen by O'Neal. Here come the Terriers in transition. O'Neal to Ealing. Left corner. Misses on the three. Rebound tipped around. It comes to Markovic. FDU gets a big stop with 2 minutes remaining. Bakata in the backcourt. Nearly traveled with it. Into the front court it comes to Weimer. Weimer crosses around a Kelto screen. Bounce pass to a cutting Comley, and the layup goes down. Comley was the only Knight in the area. And a big basket for FDU. O'Neal in transition, driving to the basket, layup, rolls in, and a foul. A strong left-hand drive for O'Neal. She's got 9 points in the fourth quarter, and now a career-high 13 for the game. And she heads to the free throw line. Pallarino into the ball game for St. Francis, replacing Keltos. O'Neal from the free throw line, 1 out of 2 in this game. 67% on the year, a chance to make it a one-possession game. And she cannot rebound off the back rim on the miss. Comes to Markovic. More pressure in the backcourt by St. Francis, though. Comley, nearly double-teamed. Comley up the floor, finds Weimer. Into the safety of the front court. Now she backs it out. Terriers flying all over the place, looking for some pressure. Zamora, 12 to shoot. Zamora guarded by Ealing. 1:12 remaining in the fourth quarter. Comley driving into Johnson, a whistle and a blocking foul called. That will send Madeline Comley to the free throw line, as that's the 5th team foul on St. Francis in the fourth quarter. With 1:09 remaining, it's a 4-point ball game. Madeline Comley, a tremendous free throw shooter, 84%. That's the best mark in the Northeast Conference. The junior from Pennsylvania puts in the first free throw and now has 7 points all in the second half. Elise Graham is going to check in here for FDU, replacing Zamora, who looks to be a bit winded. 63-58 the score. Terriers with a furious comeback attempt here in Brooklyn Heights. Comley's second free throw is perfect. A 6-point ball game with 1:05 remaining. O'Neal into the front court quickly, driving against Graham, behind the back dribble, bounces to Pallarino, blocked on the shot by Markovic at the rim, but she'll head to the free throw line. Pallarino with 7 points all in the first half. She's been in foul trouble a little bit here in the second half. 71% on the year from the stripe. She's 1 for 2 today. 1:01 remaining in the fourth quarter. First free throw up for Pallarino and nothing but net. Zamora will come back in after getting the quick breather. Pallarino's second, big one on the way, is good. More pressure by St. Francis in the backcourt. Pallarino guarding the inbounder Comley, bounces into Zamora. Zamora racing up the right side of the floor, bounces backwards to Bakata. Bakata nearly lost the ball. Bakata trapped nearly in the backcourt, and into the front court comes Zamora as she's bumped as she crossed the timeline. A foul called on St. Francis. John Thurston and I rated that call as well. That call is made on Amy O'Neal, and it sends Zamora to the free throw line, where she is shooting 81% from the free throw line this year. 64-60 with 51.9 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Zamora, the junior, has had a real good game. First free throw rattles in. Now 15 points to tie a season high for Zamora. 7th time she's been in double figures. Zamora at the free throw line, second free throw up, and misses off the front rim. Rebound by Delaney, big miss there. St. Francis trails by 5. Pallarino driving inside with the right hand, scoop shot, no good off the glass, but she'll head to the free throw line. She ran over Markovic, and a blocking foul called on the Knights. That's Markovic's 4th foul, and it's also the team's 4th. Pallarino back at the free throw line. She just knocked down 2. A chance to make it a 1-possession game if she can make both, with 45 seconds even remaining in the fourth. Free throw off the mark, no good to the right. This one also big for St. Francis. Second free throw off the back rim, no good. Rebound by Bakata, whistle. And a timeout called by FDU. They're going to advance the ball. They've got one more timeout remaining. 2 big misses. No matter what the outcome, we're going to talk to John Thurston after this one. Here on NEC Front Row, Terriers have some work to do with 44 seconds just about remaining. Inbound is in the front court by Comley. Francion back in, as well as Weimer, Markovic, and Zamora. Inbound is stolen away. Delaney to the bucket, layup, no good, but Markovic just fouled out. That's her 5th foul. Markovic commits her 5th on another FDU turnover against the St. Francis pressure, and now Delaney at the free throw line. Scoreboard says that she has 4, but that's 5 by our count. And also in the live stats. So Blankenship comes in for Markovic. That's a big loss for FDU. One of the senior leaders of this team. Here's Delaney with 2 big shots at the line. 66% at the line this year, as her first is no good. That's 3 straight misses from St. Francis at the free throw line. 9.9 second difference. Shot to game clock. Second is nothing but net for Delaney. And a whistle and a lane violation on St. Francis. And now they have to pressure FDU in the backcourt again. The inbound is to Francion. Finds Zamora cross court. Up the floor goes to Comley. All alone. Layup good. Oh, man, what a turn of events. St. Francis has to hurry. 4-second difference. Shot to game clock. Deep 3 for Johnson. Off to the right. No good. Rebound tracked down by Pallarino. Johnson again, this time driving up the left of the lane, runs into a defender, offensive foul called as Comley took the charge. And with 21.3 seconds remaining, that just about does it for this one. As this furious comeback looks like it will fall just short. Inbound is to Francion. Francion nearly trapped. Zamora gave it away, but a whistle and a reach-in foul called there on Pallarino, and that's her 5th. As Pallarino is fouled out. Meanwhile, a technical foul, I believe, was just called on John Thurston. Pallarino fouls out. Zamora is at the free throw line with nobody around her. And it appears there was no technical foul. It was just a lack of players around the foul line that made me think so. 17.9 seconds remaining. 7-point lead for Fairleigh Dickinson. Free throw up and good for Zamora, who now has a season-high 16 points. 10 of which have come in the second half. Second free throw by Zamora is good. Shot clock is off. 9-point lead for FDU. Launching a 3 right side is Delaney, an air ball short. O'Neal got it underneath, and she puts it back up and in. Timeout called by St. Francis. O'Neal extends her career high with 15. As just about even. Turnovers just about even, but the big difference, points off the turnovers. 23-2 in favor of Fairleigh Dickinson. Defensively, Abby Anderson checks in for Pallarino. Ealing, Johnson, O'Neal, and Delaney as well. Blankenship inbounding in the front court off the timeout. Inbound is to Zamora, and she is triple teamed and finally fouled with 4.2 seconds remaining. That foul on Jade Johnson, and she has fouled out. Second Terrier to foul out of the ball game as Zamora heads back to the free throw line. With 1 free throw, she can tie her career high of 18 points. She's been absolutely huge off the bench. She knocked down 4 3-pointers and has scored 8 points entering this free throw here in the 4th. Free throw perfect, and now 10 in the quarter and 18 for the game for Natalie Zamora. Second free throw rolls off, no good. 2 seconds for Delaney across half court. Deep 3 is off the glass, no good, and Fairleigh Dickinson wins. 70-62 as the furious St. Francis Brooklyn comeback falls short in the 4th.